Subos, this is Charles from Medium Soundbank, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make this sound using Native Instruments Massive. And this is what it'll sound like in a track. Alright, and let's get into it. We're going to start by opening up a massive patch. In this massive patch, we're only going to be using oscillators 1 and 2, so we can go ahead and turn oscillator 3 off. For oscillator 1, we're going to be using a smooth square. Spectrum will be the same. For oscillator 2, we're going to be using a formant square, and change this to bin minus plus. The wavetable position in oscillator 1, we're going to move down to, say, 23. The intensity we're going to bring down to about 46. Amp, we're going to bring all the way down. For oscillator 2, we're going to increase the position up to about 36. We'll bring the intensity down to about 37. We'll leave the amp down. We're going to go over and move the filter routings to filter 1 on oscillator 1 and 2. Move this up to serial, increase the volume, and bring the crossfading down to mix 2. We're going to grab macro 1, link it to wavetable position, link it to the intensity, amp, as well as the amp on oscillator 2, and wavetable position on oscillator 2. For oscillator 1, we're going to increase the amount to about right there. We'll increase intensity to about here, amp all the way up, amp all the way up. For wavetable position on oscillator 2, we'll increase it to about here, and then we'll increase the pitch to 12. The reference note we're going to be using is E2. Then we are going to create a automation clip for macro 1. And this is the sound we should have now. For filter 1, we're going to be using a bandpass. We'll turn the cutoff up to about 45, and we'll increase the bandwidth to about 28, and increase the resonance about 62. We're going to take macro 1 and link it only to the bandwidth, increase it a little bit. For filter 2, we're going to be using a band reject. Increase the cutoff to about 66, increase the bandwidth to about 42, and increase the resonance to 74. We're going to take macro 1 and we're going to link it to the bandwidth on filter 2 as well, and bring it down. We're going to go down to the insert and select hard clipper. We're going to increase the dry wet knob to about 89, as well as increase the drive to about 80. We'll take macro 1, link it to the drive, pull it back a good amount, say about right there. For FX1, we're going to be using a classic tube. Increase the dry wet knob to about 61, decrease the drive to about 32. For FX2, the law requires us to use dimension expander, so we're going to put that on there. Increase it to about 5 and leave the size at 50. Go to the oscillator tab, click restart via gate. Increase the pitch up to about 6, decrease the pitch down to 6. Is what it should sound like. We can go ahead and move it into a mixer track. Once we send it to a mixer track, we're actually going to be routing that mixer track to another, because for this sound, we're going to be using quite a few effects. For the first effect, we're actually going to be adding delay to it. For that, I will use the Fruity Delay Bank. You want to decrease the time on it a lot to get this sort of robotic sound. For slot 2, we're going to be using kilohertz formant filter. Going to bring it all the way down here, decrease the Q a bit. For slot 3, we're just going to be putting on an OTT. For slot 4, we're going to be using kilohertz bit crush. Bring it down to about 2.44. For slot 5, we're going to be adding another OTT. Slot 6, we're going to be using TDR Nova. So for band 1, we're going to be turning on the threshold, bringing the threshold down a bit, increasing the Q about 1.6. Slot 2, we're going to do the same thing. Move the frequency up to about 2218, and then do the same thing for 3. Increase the frequency to about 14 and bring it down quite a bit. For slot 7, we're going to be adding a parametric EQ2. We're just going to be cutting off the low end here, A little bit of a dip right here at 6. Increase the high end just a little bit. We're going to be using a plugin called Dirt from Native Instruments. I'm going to be increasing the drive, increasing the fold amount all the way. Then we're going to be adding another parametric EQ2. Lower the low end right here with band 2, 5, pull it down, increase it on band 6. I'm going to drop 7, move it over a bit so we have this type of shape. And for slot 10, we're going to be adding another parametric EQ2. We're going to be cutting out more of the low end. We're going to be cutting it here. We'll boost it a tad bit right here. Bring this down. We'll bring 5 down just a bit. We'll go ahead and move over to the second mixer track. So here I'm just going to be cutting out the high frequency peaks. Slot 2 on here, I'm actually going to be using a plugin called Expander, just to get a little bit more depth and detune it a bit. For slot 3, we're going to compress it. And the delay sounds like it is a bit too much, so we'll go back to the delay and decrease it even more. And to be able to make this growl from the track, video is on the screen now.